Hello everybody, I'm going to be showing you how to install your version of Java, MotiveWave, how to get started with the software development kit or SDK of MotiveWave with Java. So I'm going to show you the highlights. First things first, when you get your MotiveWave, you want to make sure you know exactly what version of Java you're running. So most of the time you won't need to worry about this. But you want to make sure you don't have a very far back version of Java with MotiveWave, because the coding may break the current version of MotiveWave if you're using an older version of the Java compiler and the Java virtual machine. I'll show you that as well. So to get started, what you need to do is right under here, come under Resources, Guides, pick off Software Development Kit right here. So you get this PDF file, okay? And what I'm going to get you to do, or would like you to do, is go to the end. We're going to set up the IDE of MotiveWave, okay? This is important, obviously, because it's not like using a text editor in Java. You need a fully blown IDE, integrated development environment. So let's first make sure we got our Java. So obviously on Mac. This should work on Windows, Linux, and I'm assuming you know how to use whatever operating system you're on. So in my case, I've got my Java machine, or JVM, by using Java-version. That will give me the version of 13.02. The other thing to be cognizant of is the Java compiler. So that's Java C. You want to make sure both of these are the same. What you can do is you go into Google, do a search on Java download, okay? Let me just so you have either Java, well, let's put it this way, JDK download, okay? So that's going to mean Java Development Kit, okay? So you got two options. You can go after the Oracle hotspot, or you can also use, there's an open source one as well. I think compatible wise, they should work the same, this OpenJDK, but I'm just going to download, or not download, but show you where to go. So if you have JDK download and just the standard edition at Oracle, this should help you make sure you get the right Java stuff you want. So if you go under JDK download, I don't know what version this is, but okay, it's all right here. So you have your platform for your Linux, your Mac, your Windows. So of course I'm Mac. They have the Mac installer. So they have a new version of Java 15. I'm not sure if you can go and get an archive. I'm sure if you were wanting to look around on this website, you might find something here for Java 14. So be a little, so here you go, Java SE. So that's what I would do, just as a strong hint, to make sure that your JVM and Java compiler are synced with the same version of MotiveWave, okay, that you can find under help, under the help, which I believe is help and then about, okay. So you got to make sure they synchronize, because I've had instances where if the one version's off, it might not work for whatever reason, some strange things. Another thing is I'm not sure what version of MotiveWave is using, if it's the OpenJDK or the Oracle one. I would use the Oracle one at the beginning, and if you don't know, ask the support at MotiveWave, okay? But we'll see how it works with this version. Now, the version I'm running right now, as it says, is a Java hotspot. That's the one that is from Oracle, okay? And as you can see here, it's 13. This should work no problem, because there's only one version behind MotiveWave's current, in my case, 14, Java 14. Next step. Instead, if you go back over to that guide in the PDF here, we should now have to worry about something called IDEs, Integrated Development Environment. So if you go to, let's say, a couple things here. I'm not going to get into this part yet, the Java jar files, Java archive, but this section will walk you through testing it, making sure everything's all hunky-dory. So this is now starting in chapter 12, environment setup. Talks here about the different IDEs. We have NetBeans, we have Eclipse, okay, and then other ones, IntelliJ Creator. I prefer NetBeans, but if you're beginning, just follow the exact instructions provided here with Eclipse. So it looks like we can get our info here at this site here. Looks like we don't have that. Might help to do a search here. So if I do MotiveWave SDK, must be right here. So, okay, so let's talk about a few of these things. Now, if you're new to Java, you can see here we got the programming guide using Eclipse, your, again, development environment or integrated development environment, as they call it. We also have these study files, the Java source files for Eclipse, okay? These are very probably scant number of studies. We also have here the Java doc and an online version of the Java document. This is the actual instructions on how to use MotiveWave with all the different classes and all that fun stuff. So you can go through those at your own time, check them out. You can search as well. I don't know, like order, you know, all kinds of different, really good, I mean, the standard Java doc structure. But overall, it'll give you the parameters, the return, and a description of those parameters or arguments in the method that you're going to use. So that's all fine and good. Just want to introduce you to that. Also, as I said, you can download the sample MotiveWave studies here. So let me just open that up and just show you what it contains. Now, of course, everything changes from time to time here. Usually, I'll ask support, this is missing, that's missing. They're really good on getting things that may be missing, or if they allow whoever to get access to those Java jar files. So we have here some sample studies. So we only get, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is for when you're starting out. So what we're referring to when we say study, you got to know the difference between the two. You have a study here. You have over 200, I think 300 studies. It's insane, okay? You could spend your life, including all the way to your grandkids' life, playing around with these studies in the source code that's provided. I believe it's one of the only platforms out there that offers that. Plus, you get other strategies as well. So you got to know the difference between the study and the strategy, okay? Now, if you want further help, if you go to my YouTube channel and just type in SDK in the search here, okay, you'll get all the SDK videos I put up. And some of them are from my MotiveWave playlist that will show you in more detail how to use the SDK with MotiveWave, okay? So that's another tip that you can have to help you get through this process, because the setting up is not fun for newbies at this. I would recommend you probably would want to learn Java, just the basics. Everyone's asking me, what's a good Java book? I've beefed up my Java knowledge with this book here called Head First Java. Very good, highly rated, some funny stuff in it, and it's really easy for newbies when it comes to learning about Java. And if you're struggling, I'd start there with that book, the Head First, and then start revisiting these videos to help you out to set up the IDE the Java virtual machine as well as the Java compiler, the JDK. So knowing all that fun stuff, let's get back to it. So we have now Eclipse to worry about. But let me just show you the breakdown. So we have studies, and then we have, depending upon how the study is coded up, you can implement that study in your strategy and be able to actually automate your orders. So the key thing here to understand about these orders or studies is there's different types of, obviously different types of studies. So the first thing is, if you're interested in a particular study and you want to know how it works, you want to know some sample source code, so on and so forth, all you gotta do is just go Java, MotiveWave, and the name of the study. So I don't know, call it RSI, right? So you'll get a relative strength indicator, MotiveWave here, and all the other associated studies with that. So for instance, if you go under here, under study, all study, type in RSI, you get all the associated studies, and some of these are my own associated studies with MotiveWave out of box, okay? And I want you to remember that, out of box. It depends upon your edition that you have, but I do know up to standard edition, you're getting a lot of strategies. And personally, for what you're paying to have that is just an unbelievable bargain, okay? So when I say that, if you go under, let's see, where's the pricing right here? So we have different editions. So the standard right here, I believe, look at this. The free version, okay, free, gives you 280 built-in studies and indicators. That's on friggin' real. Then standard, I think you got 290, and it moves up to the more expensive studies. And in there you'll get let's just say upwards of 300 plus. And the thing is with this is that they're always adding new ones. I've just found new ones for Random Walk and I've never known about. So again, if you want to know about a particular study, all you got to do is just go to Google, MotiveWave RSI, for instance, and you'll get the description of it. Again, they've gone to absolute great lengths for this. A screenshot of what the study will look like, and other things as well. How to access it in sample coding, snippets as well in this document. It's really, really, really good. This is one of the reasons why I'm like blown away, and this is one of the reasons why I've gone to MotiveWave, because of just this is just, if you're brand new to MotiveWave, this is the tip of the iceberg of what you can do. And again, you get free source code. Like with the free edition. That's unbelievable. Okay, let's get started as well. So that's the studies, but how do they work? So when you load up a study here and you go, I want, I don't know, let's say we want, I don't know, Bollinger Band %B. Okay, so, I'm sorry. Let's just say, like what I did before, RSI. It's very important you understand this. We have overlay options of true or false. We also have signaling true or false. Overlay is when the overlay of that indicator or study will overlay on the current chart. The study or the signal is a generate signal. So in my case, if I loaded up this one, RSI bars, okay, import, or okay, sorry. You'll see here we have general and the coloring of the lines. On top of, we can set signals, and these signals are pretty powerful. You could set an alert, you can send a sound, you can email it out, okay? So in this case, I'm just going to show you, and then you have standard options as well. So if you go create, you'll see here we have, let me get a clean chart here. I don't know. So this is a Wanda. I'll just use a standard USD, whatever time period it is, right there. Okay. So if I again apply that study, in my case RSI, I don't know. Let's go with this one. So we have Let's see if we can find one. So we'll do RSI bars, okay? True and true. So we've got true overlay, true signal. So go okay. Here's the coloring of the lines. Here's the standard top and lower, upper band and lower band. Okay. So here we go. We have our RSI bars, and it will generate the signal. And I know that because, again, if I edit it, by clicking on edit, let's see if I can get that. Doesn't look like it. Okay, so let me do RSI. So if I load up RSI, or RSI bars, I should say, as I said, we have signaling right here option, and if we don't have signaling set as true, is when we look for the particular studies, we won't have this panel at all. Okay, so there's that. But if I show you with an overlay, as an example of RSI, just RSI standard or relative strength indicator. So you'll notice here we can set false and true, and then let me find one with a true. Okay, let me pull up an SMA or something. So I got simple moving average. I got, again, overlay and signaling, both true. So so here we have general. So here's the line of the SMA, simple moving average, plus the signaling I talked about earlier. This is pretty standard, okay? But in the coding, you might get some extra options that you can go through the Java doc to figure that out. So if you go create, you can see here, this is the overlay, this white line for the for this price chart. So that's that. Okay, so let's go back into our programming guide. And let's talk about Eclipse and show you how to set up Eclipse. So I've just shown you the studies. Now, again, let me go over. I like using RSI because it has both a study and a strategy for it. So if I go into RSI, so if I do a search for RSI with an RSI study, you'll see here it has an auto entry, okay? And again, you set that in the code, okay? So in here, we have more options, okay? So we have standard input, what kind of moving average and all that fun stuff, the coloring of the lines, guides if you want. This is all set up through the code, okay? We can set up markers of the buy and sell signal. We have our trading options for the different trading trading sessions. We can also track our P&L and all this fun stuff as well. Plus, we have the standard signals panel. So this is a really good strategy to base it off. So all I gotta do is go create, and then all I gotta do, if I want this to run, I just go activate, and it's running, and you have a working strategy out of the box applied with that study. Okay, so that's studies and strategies. So let's look at the environment that we want to work in on the coding level with the IDE of Java. We have here, we've talked about the Java compiler. So the next thing we need to do, if we go over to our IDE section here, you see we have this Eclipse. So let me go over that. Now, I want to make sure I go through the entire process of how this works. Now, I've been a Java developer for quite a while. Things do radically change in Java, but you know, I've worked in Java 6. That's how far back I used it, and since then I kind of switched over to .NET with C#, and then I worked with MATLAB for a while, and then more recently, for the last 2-3 years, I've been more embedded with Python. But so I'm kind of rusty in Java, but I can at least show you the basics to get you going. Okay, so we're going to download this thing. So now we're going to download this here. We got to make sure we pick off the right edition. Traditionally, we need to pick off where we're going to get it from. So I don't know, we can get it from, let's say, IBM. This will be automatically set for you based upon your IP. So yeah, I want the OS 10 version, Mac OS 64-bit version. I guess I can apply that. Now there's different ways of how they package it. If they have an installer, I do believe, yeah, see this? Oh, here we go. So there's an installer here for you. This is for Mac, and there's Eclipse will run on Windows and Linux as well. Eclipse installer isn't, yeah, I trust it because it's from IBM. Ha ha ha. So here we go. It's installing it. Let's see what we get. So Eclipse is a beast, okay? If you've used from Python, PyCharm, or anything really like Visual Studio, you know that these things are very powerful. I do know there's Visual Code. I'm just following the version. So you just notice here, Eclipse IDE for Java developers. Don't go anything fancier than that. Just stick with the basics, okay? So Eclipse IDE for Java developers is just the more core tools that you'll need with Java. Everything else you don't really need. So let's see what happens here. So we accept. Okay, great. Accept the license standard or whatever it is. So it's a beast, okay, and it's not a fun thing to work with, but as I said, I'm here to show you the basics. This manual or guide doesn't really, it actually does a pretty good job showing you what to go through. So you might want to go through that. I'm just giving you the high level. Okay, so it's still installing. So let's see here. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here. Alrighty, so here we are with Java, the Eclipse. We got a launch button here, so let's see what happens. So we got this new version of IDE, the Eclipse 2009. So we're starting from September 30th. So usually with the workspace and stuff, I just keep everything standard. Okay, so we got here users work as written with an older version, continue, update that so it'll be compatible with older version, that's fine. You chose another workspace as is currently, choose, yes. So this won't work with my older version. Okay, so I launch it. Oh, okay, I guess use this default. I don't know what's going on there. Retry. You know what? I am going to choose a different one. So we'll just call this 2020. Brand new. Okay, so that should work. Hooray! Okay, so now we're ready to go with the explicit instructions from this programming guide from MotiveWave. Okay, so I'm assuming we have everything that we need now. Just wait for this thing to load up. Now, I've not done this on a really old Mac with Eclipse, the newer version of Eclipse, and the latest version of MotiveWave. So we may have some memory problems here. Yes. Okay, here we go. So now we have Eclipse running. So the first thing we got to do is we got to go in, File, New, Java Project, okay? So we have File, New, Java Project, okay? Now, before I get started here, I want to make sure we understand the Java source files, okay? I've already gone through, let me just clean up some windows here. I've shown you the Java doc, shown you that. I've shown you that. Let's see the programming. Okay, so again, let me go over to the SDK section. Okay, I'll just do another reminder for you. So if you need that, you just go under MotiveWave, MotiveWave SDK, and that should get us to the proper latest version page source. So in here, I mentioned the SDK API doc file, the MotiveWave studies zip file, right? So that contains 6 zip files, or 6 studies, basic studies to get you started. I'm not going to do that, okay? What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a tip here to get the couple of hundred, the latest batch available. So if you go under MotiveWave, I think it was study source code, okay? What you could do is, I believe it's under the forum, so that helps to spell it properly. We're looking for the forum. A lot of people don't know about this. Actually, it looks like, okay, so if I type in forum, it's on the forum, I know that. Oh, here we go. I think this would be it. Yes, that's it. So SDK, software development document, and resources. So if you come in here, download it from this Google Drive, okay? And here in this file, you download it. And I do know I have here, so let me just open that up. So we have here this file here. If I expand it, let me just get rid of this one. I've already done it. So move to trash. So if I expand that guy, what you'll get in here, so this is the expanded zip file, this one right here. Okay, and then in here, if you go, you'll see study and all of the major studies, as well as the strategies themselves, all the ones out of box as well. So you can get those by going to that link that just shown you how to go to. And again, that's support.motivewave.com, which really is a forum. And you just do a Google search here, MotiveWave Study Forum source code. Coolio. Okay, so now we know we have these studies available. So what we can do now is go back to our MotiveWave environment setup. So now we're going to create, as I said earlier, a new Java project. You have to make sure you read it very carefully. You don't want to miss any options because it will mess you up if you do. So in the next step, we'll be importing the sample project, so there's no need to configure anything specific for this project. So in our case here, so I'm going to call this MotiveWave Studies. Okay. Boy, my typing is horrendous tonight. Now, this is really important as well. We have a choice of what JRE, this is the Java runtime environment we're dealing with. So in our case, Eclipse knows what's available on our system, as I shown earlier here, where we have the Java C compiler 1302, as well as the Java virtual machine of 1302. So that's how Eclipse is able to pick up those Java versions. So we're going to create space for sources and class files. And this is what we got to make sure we go through here. So we call it MotiveWave Study Examples. So let me just rename that. Study Examples. Okay, not quite yet. You don't rush through this. Use the standard Java JRE, create subfolders for source code and classes. Click Finish, don't choose Next, as we'll be importing the sample project. Very important you get that. Now that you've created initial project, you can import the sample project from the zip file that we just downloaded. Right click on the MotiveWave study project, and choose import from the menu. Okay, so let's do that. So we'll finish this up, this here. Okay, it takes a little bit to create the project. Guess don't create. And hopefully let's see what we have. Okay. Now I got to figure out how to. Let me pause this here. So in Eclipse, it was pretty stupid. There's a welcome tab, you close that, and now this is exactly where I want to be, okay? So this is the actual empty structure of this project in Eclipse. So now we go back into our instructions here in the guide to import. Choose import, very important, we follow this to the T. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to come under here. I'm going to close this donate as well. So in here, we're going to go, okay. So we're going to look for import. It's going to take us through the wizard. So we got general. Now we're going to import an archive file, which is really the zip file. So go next. So now I'm just going to make sure we follow this exactly. So go next. The next step is to archive, specify the zip file, in this case, MotiveWave Study zip. If you're not, so download, which we just done. You may be asked to confirm overwriting the class path and all that. Press OK to accept changes. Okay, so let's do that. So here we have to look for on our desktop where that thing is. So I know it's under my downloads. And it's, let's say it's this one that we just downloaded earlier. So now it's very important that we click everything as we're supposed to, because this is where you can mess up. So it's saying click off all these guys. Make sure this is the project that you just created. Click Finish. Click on the Browse button as I just did. Once the imported, the structure of your project should look like the following. So as I've shown you, these are your study samples on the one set of zip files, but because we're getting them from the forum or the support area for the larger set of Java studies and the strategies, we'll use that one, that zip file. So we've got that already set up. So now what we can do is, I'm sure this is okay. So we're going to call it MotiveWave Study Examples. And I believe that should be that. So there you go. So here's our structure. And here are some of the available, well, we'll just stick with these for now. But you go through the same process for the larger set found in the forum. Right, where's my forum here? This link here in the support motivewave.com SDK documentation and resources for the entire 300 plus studies file. But in this case, we're just going to stick with just these four, these 6 or 7 or 8, whatever they are. And let's go back to the guide. So you can see here we have our source files. We have some jar files. We have maybe our library with the API documents. But really we'll be using 2 things here. Very important. Here are the source files. But here we have the NLS files, the property files. So these are important to help you define the properties set in MotiveWave. This is very confusing, or if you don't understand this, let me just show you what it is. If you know Java, it's internationalization. So here's what they are. So in our case, if you have the variable name label guides, this is what it will display in MotiveWave. Okay, so when you see these labels here, okay, that's the name you'll find in the Java class or the Java source files here. But in MotiveWave, when you go out and you display in MotiveWave, this is what they'll end up with. But these are the actual variable names. So these are mapped as they are in this settings properties file. Okay, so I guess it's going to ask us to go through one of these sample Java files. So now you have project created. You can deploy the MotiveWave build XML under the build folder to compile and copy the MotiveWave extension directory. Right click on this and run as ant build. Okay, this should work out of box with other software tools that I've used with other Java, whatever. It's not as easy as this. I mean, it's not easy. So if you go under build, here's the build. And if you go, as I said, right click and you go run as and build. So now it should start compiling everything. Let me just see here. Yeah, so it's got the little beach ball effect. So here we go. So it's compiling it now under the console. Okay. And then here it says build successful. If you have problems with that as is, don't ask me because I won't be able to help you. You might be able to get support either through the support forum or support from themselves. But whatever you do, you want to build everything as instructed here. Okay? Really important you understand that. Okay? So as I said, we did exactly this. Run as build or ant build. And finally, it'll update all the necessary things, put it into the Java jar file. So in Java terms, what it'll do is it will take a Java jar file that's built, which is looks like under deploy. Is there a deploy here? But as part of the ant build or compilation, it will build this. Not sure which file it will move into. MotiveWave SDK jar file, but it will build a. Oh, maybe it's the bin in the bin here. Let me just see here. Yeah, these are all the classes. So these all get built through this ant build process, and it should move and create a Java archive file or a Java jar file and move it into the MotiveWave deploy folder or extensions folder, which means that MotiveWave will be able to access that Java jar file. So that's all done through this process, and usually it's behind the scenes, and it should work with no problem. Okay. But if you have problems, I'm hoping that the Java support folks would be able to help you out there. Assuming you get everything working, okay? So as I said here, the console tab will show you all of the verbiage, but what you're looking for is a build successful message. So now, finally, if you have MotiveWave running, you should see an extra example menu called example under the study guide here. So if we go under MotiveWave here, this is all dynamically run, right? So if I go under, was it study? Let's see, do I have an examples? Right here. So these are all of my built Java jar files from this IDE project right here, done through that build process with the ant build that I just showed you. All right, so that's all cool. So we're kind of done, which is good. So go to MotiveWave, I can now have a clean chart like here with the Euro USD, go through the Euro or through the study and load up any of these examples. So if I use my moving average, here's the panel I talked about with the options, okay? And in here, if I look up that code, that would be this one right here. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, that's not the wrong one. We don't go under the bin. We go under the source file right here. So my moving average. Okay, cool. So there's the entire program. So in a nutshell, as I said before, just as a reminder, I mentioned these variable names or these labels, which are strings they refer to by being mapped to this file right here. So for instance, I've got one here called label my MA, okay? So that is part of the panel right here, or let's say description here. I look that up in the string properties. You can see here's the corresponding description, and that would map out to this little guy right here. This sample displays an exponential moving average, and the title here would be in my moving average Java. Here's the label title, so whatever this is, okay? So that's in the label or the title. And it's this guy right here, my MA as well, or whatever. But just want you to understand that that's where these references come from, okay? And then if you want to change them, just go into the strings property file and do them there. And so here's the programming logic. You can see here all of these classes, okay? So remember, this is a very, very stripped down study. So we're going to use a study class that we have to extend to build our custom my moving average, okay? So if I go into the Java doc file, which is, well, the best way to find it through a Google search is just go into MotiveWave, just type in Java doc, and it will take you to that section right here to the actual Java doc file. So if I'm interested to know what's in the study class, this is where you gotta know Java, folks, and that's where I'm hoping the Head First will help you. That book, Head First, I have nothing to do with it, but I just like it. And here's all the appropriate methods that you can use in that class for study. So in our case, I'm going to now just show you the basics of a study here. We have here the values. These are your enums. This is your constructor, initialize. We also have another standard set of methods as well that we can override as well by calculate where all the fun stuff happens. And in here you can get all of the other classes as well. So in this case, we could see if I load up the calculate method, which would be this one right here, and this is what it expects. But again, as I said, getting into Java nerdy talk, you have to override it. You do that by putting in this annotation of override, so on and so forth. So that's pretty well it for the study, okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to import the proper one of all of the studies available, okay? So I'm going to go back to my import, okay? So in my case, I'm going to create a new project. Okay, just like I did before, and that's all explained in the programming guide, the SDK programming guide for MotiveWave. So I'm going to call it MotiveWave Study and Strategies. Okay, that's what I'm going to call it. Okay, so now we are going to use everything the same, the Java E for the Java runtime environment, 13. Okay, and then go next. So now we are, here, let me just, so you go next. I think it's just standard stuff, nothing fancy. And then finish. Don't create. Okay, so we now have a new project here called MotiveWave Study and Examples. That's the one we did earlier. We have this blank one, okay, with nothing in it. So as we did before, we go import. Okay, so I'm going to go into where my zip file is located. And again, just to make sure you understand what I'm saying here, under the support forum right here, this is this Java project for all the studies, 300 plus the strategies. Okay, so back to Eclipse. So I'm going to load that proper one. Hopefully we'll find it here. I think it's this one right here. Is that one? Yeah, today. Okay. So we'll open that. Got to make sure everything's all there. Okay. So yeah, these are all of the different studies available. Plus I know we're going to include the strategies. Then we go finish. Okay. So now you come under here, .com, MotiveWave platform study. Here's all the studies available. So for instance, if I wanted to play with, I don't know, Fibonacci Lucas, or this one I discovered today called Drunkard Walk. Okay, so if I go into Google, I want to look for MotiveWave Study. In that case, we're going to look for Drunkard Walk, or which is a random walk. Okay, there it is. Our description, everything, our programming snippet, and we know we have it because it's right here. Okay, let me close up all this stuff. Everything's the same. The only difference is we now have strategies. Okay, so I want to show you something as well that will be helpful as a tip. So let's say if you are looking for the study RSI. Okay, so if I go to Google, okay, I go into MotiveWave. Most of the time, if I look up MotiveWave study, okay, and here's RSI. Okay, so what we're looking for is relative strength. It's actually got to line up with what strength indicator, okay? I know that as a fact because if I go into the study right here, if I go into study, we are looking for, if I go into all studies, RSI, when I Google it, I have to search for relative strength index, okay? So that's what we're doing here to get the right study. So let's do that. So we can find our strategy here, and we should be able to find our standard relative strength indicator. Maybe I think it's index, was it? But that's usually how you do it. It can be hit and miss with this stuff, but I'm just giving you some tips here. So let me load up that particular indicator. Okay, so we have that, or better yet, I think, let me just see here. Okay, so we have the source code. Oh, I remember now. Usually what I do is, to get this working, what I would do here is kind of move. So we have this right here, this source code under study and strategies. I would move this into here. Hopefully this will work. So we have the source right here. I'm going to do something dangerous here. I'm going to put it at this level, do a paste. So we're copying all the files from the study and strategies and put them into here, into the appropriate directory that we know is working. So they're all there. Okay, so these are all from this project here. Copy them into the original study examples. So let's see what will happen here. So if I do a build, okay, let's see here, build. Okay, oh, I'm sorry, run as and build, okay? So this is what we did before. So let's see if this builds successfully. Sometimes you might have to do a refresh or a clean project. So I can't, this should, in the old days you used to have to clean the project to refresh it. I guess that's a clean up. Because it should now recognize that there's been changes here. So we have 6 source files. Okay, so I might have to move these under the same level as source. So hold on here. So we have the source file. These are the old source files. But what I would do is, what you could do, there's 2 options, if I remember. If you go, I'm going to delete this. If I remember, play around. Let's say, as I said, we wanted the RSI, but we don't know which folder to go to. Or we're going to have to find our RSI code. I don't know if it's under custom. So we're looking for relative strength indicator. There's different ways to go about this. So we're looking for RSI. Common, maybe? No. Custom. Let me pause this so you don't have to watch me go through this. Okay, I found what I'm looking for under Wilder. We have here RSI Java, RSI strategy. So I'm going to copy both of those. Copy. Okay. So now I'm going to put these into the source file here in the original project. Right here. Okay, so we're going to put them in that level. I'm going to do a paste. So there's the 2 that I wanted to copy. Because this is already set up with the build, okay? So hopefully when I do the next build, it will automatically recognize both of these new RSI and RSI Java files. So here, this is the study, okay? So this is now a study. It's called class RSI extends the study class I showed earlier in the Java doc. I'm not going to go through the code, okay? So there's that. And then on top of that, we have now the RSI strategy, okay? So hopefully, one key here that you need to understand is here, it's called RSI strategy extending the RSI study, okay? There's 2 pieces. You have the study, and then you have the RSI strategy. Okay, as I said, I'm not going to go into the details of this, but I just want to show you that as an important step. Next step, we're going to do our run as we did before. So hopefully, I'm hoping this works. Here we go, amp build, and we want to see the successful. So we have 8 source files, so it's now compiling those. And it was originally 6. Now we've added 2 more, the RSI and RS strategy, and we've got to build successful. Now, the next question is if we go under our examples again, let's see if they will recognize the RSI. No, it didn't. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. So I can't remember if I might have to relaunch my my MotiveWave to recognize those new RSI and RSA strategy. So let me do that. I'll be pausing and coming back. We reset our version of MotiveWave here, or restarted it. If I come under examples, it doesn't still find it. Maybe it's because it's already in there. I don't know. But usually, I think it's already in there. But if I did a change in the code and change the name, it might come up under a different name. But I'm just using the standard, probably what's already out of box, what's in MotiveWave. So let me go back here. And in the code, I want to show you the difference between the study and the strategy. One last thing under strategies here. So RSI is a good example for doing two ways of either having a separate study Java class and then having a strategy piece that will import it because it extends that Java class. But if you go under here, remember I got that from the support, go under strategies here, we have relative, I'm sorry, not this one, RSI with RSI strategy. What they've done here is they've done everything all in one. Okay, so there's no separate study for a call RSI that you extend. It's all done in one file. So this is the entire strategy. Okay, so that's another option you have. So as I said, this is just a really high level demo of how this works. I think if you go through some of the other videos I've put up on my YouTube, going under the MotiveWave playlist here, and just doing a search under SDK, you'll find other videos to give you other examples of how to do this. Debugging is one of them, how to set up another jar file external, in my case Redis. So I show you how to do that as well. So we'll leave it at that. And that's this one right here, Experiment with MotiveWave Java SDK and Redis NoSQL. So we're rocking and rolling from a high level. Hopefully this will help you out. I'm hoping it did. And other than that, we'll talk to you later. Have a good